Vivek Ramaswamy, former 2024 presidential candidate, Trump campaign surrogate. Vivek, welcome back. You know, Vivek, there's a lot of little things here. I was sort of hoping Mr. Trump, I don't know whether the CNN moderators will ask the right questions or not, okay? But Mr. Trump could ask Mr. Biden, why are you disregarding federal judges? Why are you disregarding the Supreme Court? Why are you disregarding the whole issue that you do not have the authority to cancel student loans? That's not the only disregard of the law, but that's not a bad place to start, Vivek. What do you think?
Look, I think you've laid out some great points, Larry. My advice to President Trump would be just be yourself. President Trump, I think, has a historic opportunity right now to defy the media narrative, Larry, and actually demonstrate he's actually going to be the president who unites this country. Joe Biden ran on a platform of national unity. He failed to do it. President Trump's going to unite this country in a different way. Success is unifying. Excellence is unifying. So growing our economy and fixing our border crisis, those aren't just policy solutions. Those are steps towards reuniting the United States of America. I'm going to be with him in Atlanta. I'm looking forward to it. But I have full confidence he has led this country. He led this country in the first 2 years against a Russia collusion hoax and an impeachment hoax. If he can do that, he can handle himself in what will be a 3-on-1 debate. Make no mistake about it. Is this fair terrain? Of course it's not. But I'm confident President Trump can nonetheless handle himself even when he's debating against 3 people, not just 1.
Yeah, well, I love the themes of success and unity. I think you're 100% right. But I just was thinking, it may be if the moderators won't ask good questions, maybe Mr. Trump has to ask a good question or two, And in this case, I think this student loan thing, these judges just ruled. This is not the first time, by the way. The Supreme Court has ruled. Now you've got federal district judges rule. The Bidens want to ignore it. You can't willy-nilly break the law. And that's, to me, fair game for a debate. Biden wants to talk about democracy, blah, 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 blah. How about asking him why he doesn't uphold our court system? It is the third branch of government, is it not, Vivek?
Of course it is. And I think this theme of law and order is a really interesting one, Larry, on a couple of different levels. First of all, we have rampant breakage of law and order in cities across this country. But it's no accident that you see the abandonment of the rule of law in cities and at our own southern border, when the United States government and even the president of the United States is completely disregarding the law himself. So these are deep-seated issues that go to the culture of rule of law in America. So I'm fully confident that if the moderators don't step up and do their job, of course, President Trump's going to be able to do it. But I also think the American people are ready to see through that veneer. Was 2020 fair in the way the media handled it and served up information to the public, suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story on the eve of that last election? Of course it wasn't. But the American people have been fooled once. They're not going to tolerate being fooled again. And I think President Trump has a historic opportunity to let his record also speak for itself. 4 years of Trump, 4 years of Biden. Under 4 years of Trump, you had a sealed border, you had a growing economy, and a stable world order. Under Biden, we're closer to World War III than we've ever been, a more porous border than we've had at any time in our national history, and an economy that is flailing in the face of inflation. That record, I think, will hold in the eyes of most Americans. And you know what? Success in the face of Trump's term will be unifying for the country.
Yeah, I love that. You were just talking about the Russian hoax and the laptop computer and all this stuff. Yeah. I'm just reading about you basically trying to take over BuzzFeed, the website BuzzFeed. And this is a noble mission, Vivek. These guys were enablers. Heck, they won a Pulitzer Prize for pushing the Russian hoax, which was completely and utterly wrong and phony. And you want to, let's say you've picked up your stock holding and you want to put some new people on the board, which is the right idea. Maybe do to BuzzFeed what Elon Musk did to Twitter. Tell us about this, because I see a market-based opportunity here. Instead of having government do it, let's have private investors like yourself do it. BuzzFeed, fake news, Russian hoax, and all the rest of it. And they got a Pulitzer Prize, which they should give back. Tell us about your BuzzFeed campaign. I love this.
Sure, and I'm a big fan of driving change through the private sector, Larry. As you know, I founded Strive in the asset management space. I criticized the media a lot during the presidential campaign, but I don't just believe in words, I believe in action as well. And what I see here is actually an opportunity. There's a wide open opportunity in the media landscape, especially in the creator economy, to say that, you know what, we're going to be a platform that embraces the full cultural and political spectrum across the board. I think it's a missed opportunity. A lot of people have heard of this company. I'd heard of the company. But what does that brand even mean? That's an opportunity for value creation. It's a company whose stock has gone into the gutter ever since they went public. It has more debt than cash. And so it should be a company that is receptive to an outside voice. I became the second largest outside shareholder in the company, I should say, Class A shareholder. But the reality is, I think some of the change that we're going to see in this country is not just going to come through government. It's also going to come through a change in culture, through the economy. And I do think reviving our voices as shareholders, I've lived the American dream. I've built successful businesses. To be able to apply that now in new ways, Larry, is one of the ways that I also think we can drive positive change in this country.
No, I love that.
And I did have my first meeting with the management team, and I'm glad to say it was a constructive meeting.
Yeah.
And so stay tuned for what's ahead.
No, I love that. By the way, I think Mr. Trump agrees with you 100%. That's the best way to drive changes. You know, do it through the private sector, do it through the investment sector. And this is the last point. You're in a letter to them, you're saying, distinguish yourself from competitors by openly admitting your past journalistic failures and redefine BuzzFeed's brand around the pursuit of truth. You said that in a letter. They're not buying it, but I think you are right, Vivek. I mean, that put them right out there. Redefine it. You know, you have a chance. They sinned. Now it's time to ask forgiveness and start all over again.
Look, I think that you want to talk about uniting the country and also seizing a major opportunity. Any member of the mainstream media who looks their audience in the eye and says, look, we lied to you. From the origin of COVID to the Trump-Russia collusion hoax to the Hunter Biden laptop story, we made mistakes and we're sorry. We're not going to let it happen again. Here are the changes we're going to make, and we're going to earn your trust. That is a massive business opportunity for the first mainstream media organization that steps up and captures it. So the reality is the opportunity is sitting there. The power of capitalism often gets people to make those right decisions. I respect what Elon has done in the case of Twitter. That's a social media platform. But in the context of publishers, or at least even one publisher, stepping up to do that right thing, I think that's a major opportunity. And that's part of what I articulated in that letter, that first letter that I sent to the board of directors.
It's great stuff. Vivek Ramaswamy, it's great stuff. Good for you. Thank you very much. And of course, we love having you on the show.